Welcome back to the Branding Laboratory, the virtual space where we're going to break down what makes extraordinary leaders who they really are. Not just in business, right? But in life and business combined. Because let me be real for a minute, and you hear me say this all the time. Who you are behind closed doors, in your struggles and your moments of reckoning, is exactly who you bring to your business, to your brand, your leadership, and ultimately the impact that you make. And today's guest is someone who has literally walked through fire and lived to light the path for others. Her name is Andrielle Mylin. And she isn't just a coach, which is what she's now doing professionally. She is a survivor. She is an architect of healing. She is someone who took pain, and a lot of it, and turned it into purpose. She's had a very turbulent upbringing, surviving a narcissistic partner, physical and emotional abuse, and losing her first love to violence, and ultimately finding her voice and guiding others out of their own darkness as a coach now. Her story is one of resilience, transformation, and really a radical self-reclamation. And this podcast isn't just about relationships, by the way. It's about identity. It's about stepping out of the cycles that keep us small. It's about recognizing what we've been conditioned to learn and accept, and learning to build something different. And that's been my modus operandi for years now. It's how can we be uniquely different and still add value and not look and sound and smell and taste like everybody else. So today we're going to go a little bit deep. It might be a little bit vulnerable and raw. We're going to try to understand, why do we as humans stay in these toxic cycles? How do we break free of them? What healing really looks, and how Andrielle is helping others do the same thing that she went through herself. So before we dive into the podcast and I bring Andrielle into the show, if this resonates with you, please make sure you follow. Please make sure you share this with somebody who could learn or needs this as an inspiration, and engage. Drop us notes, drop us comments. Maybe you have questions. Maybe you have a guest who you think would be really good for the show. Let's get the conversation into the hands of the right people who need this now. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and welcome Andrielle to the show. What's up, young lady? How you do?
Hello.
How you do?
Good.
It's good
Can
to
you
see you.
hear me?
I can hear you loud
Good
and
to
clear.
This isn't like the podcast right now, is it?
It is the podcast. And for our podcast today, we are in the bedroom with Andrielle. Where will we go next?
Okay. I thought I would get a minute to warm up here.
What? It looks like we got the foreplay already going here in the bedroom. I don't know what you need to warm up for. Just show up as you.
Okay, let me make sure. Okay, can you hear me all right then?
We already
Can you
did the
hear
sound check. We
me?
good.
Oh, okay, great.
How
Here I am.
how you doing today? I already introduced you. I didn't tell anybody that there was going to be a sneak peek rendezvous, but I'm glad that we're here
Oh,
nonetheless.
yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
So as we talked about the first time we met, this is just a conversation. Okay. So it's not censored. You can be raw, you can be real, you can be vulnerable, you can be whatever it is. My listeners are entrepreneurs who value authenticity and genuine conversation. No
Yeah.
bullshit, no frills. I'm not going to pull any bullshit with you. No frills, no punches. We're just going to have a deep, meaningful conversation. It's not an interview. If you have anything you want to ask me or anything you want to specifically say, it's an open canvas. Cool.
Great. Yeah, I love it.
I was reading over your bio and I know a little bit about you because I found you on Instagram. I was touched by several posts that you made. Some of it really resonated
Okay.
with me because I've had some similar stories, and maybe we can get into that. Maybe we can't. Depends on how raw
Yeah.
and vulnerable we get. But um,
Yeah.
your story isn't really just about hardship. It's really about a reinvention, right? And I think I want to start with that space. What is something about your journey that you would like to share with us that you think most people might misunderstand?
Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start really.
Jump in.
I know. It's just been a rough, like I grew up a lot rougher than people would guess. When people look at me, they just want to judge a book by its cover. I almost want to I want to do something with that somehow. I would like to see just the judgments people have looking at me because I hear it a lot. They think I was privileged or grew up privileged somehow. And it's like, if
Why?
they only
Why?
know.
What do you think? Why do you think people have that perception of you?
I don't know. I guess because now I look like I have it together. I don't know if it's like just, I don't know, but they just think I was privileged. And it's no, had to work really hard to get to where I'm at and to get to this point.
Hmm.
And I'm
So,
still working on it.
if I may just dive into that a little bit, what are some of the judgments that people have exacted upon you?
I've been called, like, they've called me white privilege before, and I'm just like, that was the farthest thing from the truth, honestly. Like, I grew up in a poor area, everyone's struggling and paycheck to paycheck and just barely surviving, really. And not only that, they're dying left and right where I came from. A lot of my family has passed away young. I've lost way too many people at very young ages. Gun violence, drugs, just it's just terrible. And I've really fought hard to get out of that and make a better life for myself, you
Where did
know?
you grow up?
I grew up in Indiana, so the south, not Indianapolis, but just south of Indianapolis. So just outside the city, but it still is bad,
I
the
thought you had
city.
I thought you had that Midwestern twang accent. I thought I picked up on.
Some people say that.
But you're now in Florida, or is that correct?
Florida,
That's what I
yeah,
thought. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So growing up, tough environment. It sounds like you said there was some death involved.
Alcoholic mother. Yeah,
Hmm.
my mother was an alcoholic my whole life.
And you lost somebody that was really important to you. Is that what I read in your bio? A boyfriend,
Yeah.
a father. Who was it
Yeah,
that you?
it was the first real love I've ever had. Still to this day, actually, but he was shot from by a neighbor, a senseless gun violence incident. So he was shot and he passed away. We're going on 11 years for that now, so that was very hard. And I lost two cousins to fentanyl 4 months apart. So that was another rough thing on our family. So now, though, my aunt, they were her two children. So she's gotten really involved in, they do these anti-fentanyl rallies now in Washington, D.C. And I think it's called Appalled, I think. I go with her to be supportive, but it's
Why is
anti-fentanyl rally.
why is it that the Midwest seems to be so heavily hit by this fentanyl crisis?
I know, I don't know. I think it's just the small town thing. I think everyone's just miserable and they don't know what else to do and they're trying to find a way to get by in life. And I was thinking that too because a lot of my family back home are drinkers and I used to drink with them and I used to party too much and I was right there with them for a while. But then it's after finally getting out of that environment, it's no wonder they're all drinking and they have nothing else to do. There's nothing better to do in
Yeah.
Indiana in these small towns. That's what one of my YouTubes I made actually was about getting out of that small town that's holding you back because
Hmm.
it will. I don't know how I made it as long as I did there, honestly, and made it out and I'm trying to make something of myself.
Yeah.
Successful.
There's a moment in people like yourself who have transformed their life. There's this epiphanal moment in everyone's life that does a similar transformation like you, where they realize, I can't do this anymore. This is not going to be my story. What was that sort of pivotal moment for you when you're like, dude, I'm
Hmm.
just done. This cannot go on.
Yeah, that's a good question. I just feel like my whole life I've just known I wasn't meant for that life. I never felt like I fit in. And the people I watch too, they say that's really common. Knowing you're meant for more, that you just feel like you never fit in, or you're the black sheep, or you're just different. You just you don't fit in. And sometimes they'll want to say that you're stuck up for that or whatever, but it's okay. I don't even care anymore. Yeah, I'm stuck up then. I don't care. This is not the life I want to live. And you should want the best for the people around you. That's what else I just don't understand with mindset of people want to hold you back. They don't want to see you do better. They don't want to encourage you. They want to hold you back. And you could go do something with yourself too. You don't have to hold people back. You can encourage people.
Oh,
It's just a mindset.
Yeah, I appreciate that sentiment. A lot of people do have these insights that you reference. Like you said, you realize that there was just something more for you. A lot of people share that, but not a lot of people take that step, that
Oh,
fearful
right.
step. So, if I can, I want you to transport back. I'm not going to let you off that question so easily. I want you to think back. Was there a pivotal moment in this process, this thought process, and whether it was the death of your boyfriend or your cousins or
Hmm.
anybody else, was there a moment where you're like, motherfucker, I cannot keep doing this anymore. I have to move out of this space. I have to try something else. And so answer that first question. And then when you answer that
Yeah.
first question, I want to know now that you're out of that nonsense, that maelstrom of chaos,
Hmm.
looking back, what is it about Andrielle and people like you who have made that leap? What is that? Is it that a personality? Is it the moxie? What is it that sort of enables us to do to make those changes?
For me, I guess there was two pivotal points, and it was leaving a narcissistic relationship. Each time it was like a catapult into my next level of growth, really.
So you wait, sorry, let me stop you. So your love of your life had been shot and killed, and then these are post
Yeah.
love of your life relationships. Okay.
Yeah. With my ex-husband, he was an overt, grandiose narcissist. I had known him a long time before we got married, but we were just friends for a long time. But we got married in 2020. It was like a COVID wedding.
And you're
So,
still in Indiana at the time?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we were
I've been
only
to
married
Indiana a
a
few
little
times, by the
over
way.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there's
I have a really
nothing there. It's
I
terrible.
have a really good friend who lives in Carmel or Carmel, I think they say it up
Yeah,
there.
that's
Yeah.
where I was living when I was married and then when I moved
Mhm.
away finally from
Sorry,
Indiana.
I
So
got you off
that's a
topic.
decent place. No, that's a decent place. That's like the only place to live. If you go to Indiana, it's the only place safe, like where it's okay to live there. But I was
Narcissistic
married. Yeah,
husband.
yeah. Okay, so I was married to him for just over 2 years. But that was like leaving him was like the catapult to get me just thinking like just there was just something not right with him. So I got looking into narcissism. And so that kind of led me down a spiritual awakening. And then, but 4 months later, I met the overt grandiose narcissist after leaving my ex-husband. He was the covert. So that's like more of a covert operation. It's a lot harder to tell with a covert narcissist. It's a covert operation. They're subtle,
What's the difference
sneaky.
between the two?
Yeah, so the overt grandiose is very aggressive. They're the ones that are loud, aggressive. Just what you think of when you think of a narcissist, the typical. They think they're better, they think they're right. You can't go against anything they say. And then the covert is passive aggressive. They're very passive aggressive. They love to ghost you, like they don't like confrontation, but they'll love bomb you. And that's the thing where they get people is the love bombing. And so you would think what's wrong with someone being affectionate and loving in the beginning because that's what they do right up front, act like they're your soulmate and your perfect person. And then a few months into it, the mask slips and they just start criticizing you, devaluing you, belittling you, like just tearing you down until you're just a shell of the person that you once were. So it's once you get out of something like that, you just go into kind of this deep dive of self discovery and really finding your authentic self after something like that.
Let me pause you
And
there. Let me pause you there
yeah,
because you're getting ahead of me.
okay.
So,
I know there's so much.
in the sense of these two different types of narcissistic men that you were attracting into your
Mm-hmm.
life after the
Mm-hmm.
loss of your love, what was it about you specifically that you think were magnetically drawing these people into your life?
Because that's what they say is that we're attracting that on a
100%.
spiritual
Yeah.
level. Something in us is allowing that and allowing this person to come in and break our boundaries. And 'cause that's what they do. That's what they do. They're boundary pushers. They break your boundaries and they're just abusive, really. It's
Yeah, but
abuse.
hold on. I go back to the question. I'm not going to let you get off this. What was it
Oh,
about? What was it about you in particular that you think was drawing these? If you think of your personality at those times, and not who
Yeah.
you are, not who you are today, but at that point
Yeah.
in time, what was it about Andrielle that was attracting these types of people into your life?
Yeah, I think just not knowing really any better, and that's what I grew up around.
Mm.
Those are the kind of relationships I saw. That's what I grew up in.
Your
That
father was this way?
My dad's great. I love my dad. He is wonderful. But so my mom was the crazy one. She was the alcoholic and she broke my dad's heart and ran off. And my mom is what caused a lot of problems, but all the women on my mom's side of the family are all dysfunctional. So I'm not going to be able to let them watch this.
It's amazing. I don't know. I don't know if I have the same breadth of knowledge about this as you do, but I have done some research and I've had some similar guests of this nature on the show. It's amazing as parents how much of a motherfucker that can be and how much responsibility your parents first of all have in the process of raising the children, but
Yeah.
how much we as children soak up and absorb and all of their modeling and all of their behaviors. I came from a very highly abusive background. My father was just a monster, so I have a lot
Yeah.
of I have a lot of
See, I
association.
was blessed there. I know I was blessed with a great dad, but he went to remarry and she had her own kids and deaf mom that lives with them. So they have a whole thing going on. So I
Mm,
just felt like a burden. I still didn't feel like I had a place to go. They always said I did, but it was already a full house and it was so chaotic. From the time I went from second to fifth grade, I was already between five different schools. It was like moving, custody battles constantly. I think I've just blacked out a lot of my childhood as well. I'm like, there's a lot of things I feel like
yeah,
I've blocked out.
I fully
It was
appreciate
so
that.
dramatic.
I fully appreciate that statement. I've been in therapy for years myself. And the therapist will ask me questions and I'm like, honestly, I don't even know. I don't even know that I remember that. And
I know.
the only way that we can unpack any of it is like through regression therapy or hypnosis
Yeah.
and things of that nature and other modalities.
Yeah.
And when it comes out, I'm like, I'm almost surprised at my own I'm almost surprised at my own awareness of these memories that start
Yeah.
to just come out of nowhere. I'm like, wait,
Have you
how the
done the
heck?
hypnosis?
Yes, many
Oh,
times.
wow. I know
Yeah.
I've heard of it a lot, but I haven't gotten to that stage yet.
I have a
But
fantastic
I would
hypnotist.
do it.
I have a
Yeah.
fantastic hypnotist I can connect you with if you're interested.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that'd
Just
be really cool.
remind me after the show. I'll put the two of you in touch.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right, let's get
definitely
back. Let me get
interested.
back to your story because we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. So
Oh, okay. Is this an hour?
it's not really.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's roughly an hour, but let's just.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
don't want to focus on the time. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff I
Yeah.
want to know. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
where was I going? Okay, so you lost the love of your life.
Yeah.
Two, three, or four, or how many of your relationships afterwards were traps for you?
They were
And then
always toxic.
okay, so what I'm still trying to get at is how did you develop the awareness that these toxic relationships were no longer good for you? Did you meet somebody? Was there a
Oh.
book that you
Hmm.
read? Like, how did you get to the point of, hear me out,
Well,
how did you get to the point of going into these repetitious relationships
oh,
and
right.
then finally having this self-awareness? Holy shit, this is not the right way for me to go. What was that? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
I feel like it was just a gradual thing. I feel like I've just always been self-aware. I've always known everything was dysfunctional. I knew it wasn't right, but I just didn't know how do I get myself out of this, especially as at a young age and you're just a child. It's like you're helpless.
How old are
Like
you right now?
I'm about to be 37
Okay.
March 7th.
So the last relationship that was narcissistic for you, how old were you at that point?
I met him when I was just turning 35. It was my 35th birthday,
You look much
actually.
younger than 37, by the way.
Thank you.
I
I'll
don't know if
take
I
that.
don't know if that was a compliment or not. I'm just saying, but you don't look like you're 37.
Yeah,
So,
I'll take it as a compliment.
all right. So your last narcissistic, toxic relationship, how old were you? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
35.
35. And so
Yeah.
somewhere in the last 2 years, you had this self-awareness that you were like, I'm done with this. I need to get out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I was with him a little over a year. It's because it just got so bad. Like he love bombed me and then started chipping away at me. But I knew my self-worth, but I had just never experienced a narcissist. And I had thought I loved him so much. I thought he was the one. And then finally with the cheating is where, because he would pick at me, criticize me, belittle me, jokes. It's always a joke. They're always joking. And it's little things too. They do it so subtly. They start so subtle, you don't notice they're doing it. And then over time, it's just chipping
Mm,
away at you.
yeah.
And but then the lying and cheating and all of that started going on. And that's when I was just like, when I knew that was going on, I'm like, I'm done. I'm
Mm.
done. It still took me. I stayed 4 months longer than I should have, honestly, because just they gaslight you and make you think your reality is not reality.
You just one day got up and got on a train or a plane and went to Florida?
Yeah, yeah. My aunt actually drove up and we got it. I rented a U-Haul and we just packed what I could. I actually left behind a whole storage unit of a 3-bedroom house there because I
Mm.
was just like, he was out of town for a week and I'm like, I have a week to do this and get out of here. So she came, helped me, got my stuff, packed the U-Haul up, came down to Florida, and now I'm just like, I've been in isolation, I've been healing, I've been doing a lot of inner work, working on my business, working on helping other people now get out of toxic relationships and break the trauma bond. Really, it's a trauma bond is what it's called. So we're releasing a course called Breaking the Trauma Bond, actually. So that's launching anytime now. So
All right, well, hold off on that because we're going to get to that.
yeah.
I still want to
Oh,
follow a chronology here. And you can find Andrielle, for anybody who's currently listening, the show notes will have this information, but it's Live Well with L. That's
mhm.
ELE, and I believe there's an underscore on it. But you
Yeah,
should,
underscore. Yeah.
and that's how I found you. That's an Instagram handle that I'm just giving you for those of you who want to check her out right now while we're talking. So you took this path from survival to
Mm-hmm.
service,
Mm-hmm.
and most people don't ever make that leap. They really don't. But what I'm really fascinated about you and why I was drawn to your material is this whole idea of around helping other people now learn what you learned in the process of your own turbulence and pain, right? So
Yeah.
if I may, if we can think about this for a minute, what was it about your own healing in this process of, and this is I realize that this is a perpetual iterative process. Like we're always healing from the trauma that we
Oh,
have, right?
yeah.
Like you might be 90 before you finally be like, okay, I finally solved that bullshit. But
Yeah.
what was it about your own journey so far in this healing capacity that made you realize that, you know what, my calling here is to actually help other people? What was there like a moment or another pivotal moment in that?
Yeah, I actually know the answer to this one. So,
Good. I'm not going to
okay.
let you beat around the bush. I told you.
Okay, so when I left the covert, I just started sharing what I had learned like on TikTok and YouTube, and it was a way of therapy for me. It was like a release for me. It was just venting, letting it out, getting it out without going back to the narcissist because that'd be pointless. It falls on deaf ears. But they do say it takes about an average of 7 times for people to get away from a narcissist and break the trauma bond. People end up going back about 7 times, which is terrible. And that's another thing I want to help people. Once is more than enough with a narcissist. But so I was sharing my just not details of the relationship, but just that what they are, who they are, what they do, traits and characteristics, and the kind of things they do. So
Hmm.
people might hear that and realize, oh, maybe that sounds familiar to them. Maybe they need to start looking deeper into that. So,
Isn't social
um,
media great like that?
that's how I learned. I was
Yeah.
like,
No,
I was watching all the content. Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm
It,
so grateful. I'm so
you
grateful.
and I we're small entrepreneurs, and we've built brands around our honesty and our candor and our transparency, and thousands of others like us, and we'd have never had the chance to do that. And I always tell people, I do workshops and keynotes around this space. I work with older entrepreneurs, and they're like, I don't want to be on social media. I'm like, what am I going to do there? And
I know.
I'm like, the
There's a
problem.
stigma.
Yeah, I'm like, the problem with your mindset is you're not coming at it from a capacity to help other people. You're just coming at
Right.
it from a fear imposter syndrome. Like,
Yeah.
if you have a gift, and I sell this is just for anybody listening, if you have a
Mm-hmm.
gift, or if you have a story, or if you have something that you've been through that you
Yeah.
could help other people in some way, shape, or form and inspire them or educate them or entertain them, like you have a
Yeah.
moral obligation, man, to share that.
Yeah.
And that for me is the power of social media. It's not all the bullshit and the likes and all the nonsense. It's the fact that you have a platform where you can potentially, like Andrielle's doing, get online free of charge. All it costs is your time and energy, and show up and share something with other people. And hopefully, in the process of doing that, you can change someone's life. I'll get off my soapbox.
Exactly.
I'll get off my
I
soapbox.
agree. Yeah,
Thank you.
and this is amazing time now more than ever. It's like everyone has the chance, everyone has access to be able to help other people in whatever way that might be. There's just so
100%.
many ways. Yeah, there's a good, you can use it there's obviously not great ways to use it either. And that's the other thing I feel like when people just want to fill their minds with junk and doom scroll, that's not good either. That's kind of poison for the mind too. Just
Well, there's a lot of content out there that is poison for the mind. Just like
yeah.
the people that are
Yeah.
using it for you mentioned narcissism, people who are using it for their own vanity reasons and vanity
Oh
metrics, and
yeah.
just
Yeah.
showing up in a pernicious capacity, if you will.
Yeah.
What is something you hold a belief about Andrielle today after this journey from downtrodden, abused people, losing people, loved ones, horrible
Yeah.
partners? What was
Yeah.
a belief about yourself that you used to hold that you have completely unlearned and have changed how you view yourself?
Oh boy, that's a tough question.
Well, I told you this podcast isn't for the lighthearted.
I know.
You signed up for it, girl.
A belief I used to hold. I don't know, but I was just thinking last night. I was just thinking about everything I've been through, and I'm like, I just feel like I could do anything at this point. Like, I
Mm,
feel like I could do anything. Oh, you know, a belief? Here's a good one. The belief that you have to slave away at a job that you hate to earn, an income, but living paycheck to paycheck. That's what they push too. And so I'm in the middle of reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad right now. So I just started that book.
yeah, Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've just started that, but I'm
Mhm.
like, that's just such a good way to look at it is how the fear holds people back.
Yeah,
Just the fear.
yeah.
Just it's having that fear, but I feel like I've always loved a challenge. I've always loved to face the fear. If I get stuck in a place more than 2 years, I feel like I'm dying. It's like I
Mm,
need a challenge. I need a change. I need to know that I'm doing something and like making some kind of a difference. It's like
mm.
I don't know how people get so comfortable just doing the same job for 30, 40 years.
So let me ask you, so this Instagram personality that you've developed and social media personality that you've developed, you're on several platforms. Is this your full-time job now?
Well, I
Or are you
mean,
doing something else outside of like passive revenue with some of the products and workshops and
oh,
coaching that you're doing?
actually, yeah, I haven't. I run an Airbnb as well. I own and run an Airbnb. So that's a helpful
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
side income. And then I'm still PRN as a nurse. So that just means as needed with my company. I can still pick up as needed, basically. But really, honestly, I feel like I'm ready to just take over this full time and just help people in this way now. And I feel like I already have a million more ideas of ways I want to help people and more courses that I
Mm,
want to start working
mm.
on. And yeah, there's so much to do. And that's one of the things they said in the book that once you see opportunity, you can't stop seeing opportunity.
Yeah,
Like
you can't
all
unsee
the
it. Yeah.
yeah, all these
The
places
floodgates
and
are open.
areas. Yeah,
Yeah.
like all these areas that you can help improve someone's life somewhere.
That's a good segue to talk about next because I'm curious about some of the stuff that you're doing. And I want to start with I know a lot of people who are in toxic relationships and have not been able to break free, and not all of them have ended positively. What do you think? I think, let me back up.
Nobody.
I think people often think toxic relationships is really just about the other person. But what's something that people don't realize about actually breaking free? So, like, you've broken free from this, and if you could encapsulate who you are today after breaking free from that, how would you sort of state that?
Just like how it feels after you break
How
free.
does it feel? Like, what is it? Like, what is it for people who are fearful? So let's just pretend
Yeah.
that there are other people.
Well,
Hold
yeah.
on. Let's just pretend
Okay.
there are other people listening to this show, and they're starting to realize that they're also in a situation that's similar to yours.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them
Yeah.
first? And then what's the proof of breaking free? What does that look like, feel like to Andrielle now?
Yeah. If they're realizing they're breaking free from a narcissist, first of all, you have to get out and go no contact. The no contact is crucial, really, and non-negotiable.
Cut it off completely.
Completely. That's the thing. I don't know how people go back 7 times. I don't know. For me, it was once the cheat, like for me, it was not even a thought to go back. I'm like, I hated him, honestly. And that's what I tell people too. I'm like, if you have to be angry at first, just use the anger. Use the anger. It doesn't have to stay there forever. But while you're trying to stay no contact, like you need to be angry. This person treated you less than like
Anger gets a bad rap.
I don't know. I might still have some childhood anger, so it
I
comes
truly,
easy.
if you can learn to contain it and use it advantageously. But I do believe
Yeah,
that anger,
exactly.
I believe that it gets a bad rap, and that there is a way to
Yeah,
leverage it so that it can be purpose for you.
I know.
You've talked a lot about this idea of trauma bond.
Yeah,
And so you're on the other side. So I'm just going to rephrase the question because again, I'm not going to let you off the hook.
yeah.
You did break free. You faced your fears. You saw the adversity and just spat in its face. But you've used this idea of trauma bond that you broke free from. I think I hear it a lot, especially on social media. I hear people talking about it a lot. But in real
Mm-hmm.
life, it's actually really messy. It's a really dangerous situation. What does it really
Yeah,
mean?
the trauma bond.
Yeah, what does it really mean to be caught up in one of these? What does that actually look like so that people can, if they're not sure if they're in it, maybe they don't have any
Mm-hmm.
clarity around it, share some insights on what that actually looks like.
I'm sorry. I just lost the screen, but I just made it back. Can you tell one more time? Ask me one more time. I'm so sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
so
You're not supposed to
sorry.
be doing anything else
Don't
while you're
kill
podcasting
me.
with
I
me.
know, don't kill me.
This term trauma bond, can you paint a picture of what it actually looks like? So if people are unclear, maybe people don't have the same level of self-awareness as you have or had,
I know.
and
Yeah,
they're not really sure that they're what their situation
in
looks
a
like.
trauma bond.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what does that actually look like to you?
I know. See, this is why I just created the course too, because that'll be so helpful. But it's like they get you addicted to this cycle of the love bombing and devaluing, and your brain, it's the same thing as being addicted to if someone's on drugs. It's the same chemicals released in your brain. So it's like an addiction. They create an addiction. Like you're literally addicted to this person. And you get the hits of dopamine when they love bomb you, and the cortisol when they pull away. And so you're like always searching for that, and it's like gambling. Like you're waiting for the win. You're always searching for that love bombing person to come back. Like you're always waiting for that, the compliment or something, or even the text message at a certain point. Because if you're with a covert, they'll just start ghosting you. When in the beginning they're calling you every 2 hours, keeping you on the phone for hours at a time in the beginning, calling you all the lovey names and everything. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden 2 or 3 months in, and that's what Dr. Ramani says too. She says they have a really hard time keeping it up past 9 months. They're lucky to keep the act up. And that's exactly about where mine was. It was like 8 to 9 months is when I started seeing with the covert, realizing that I was with a covert narcissist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's been the hardest part of healing that people don't really talk about, in your opinion?
That's funny. I was going to say, because I wanted to go back to the one of the other questions you had, but I wanted to say too, to tell people
Is that the
that,
one when you were multitasking?
mm, yeah, sorry, I know. So
Stay
I thought
focused, girlfriend. Stay focused.
I know. They might call me squirrel sometimes too.
All right. Well, I'm gonna keep you. These aren't
I
boring
know.
questions, so stay with me.
No, they're not. I know. You got to keep me on track.
I am.
But no, okay, so it's normal for people to isolate. They need to isolate. When they're getting out of a toxic relationship, they need to just go really into isolation for a little while and start doing the inner work.
Mm,
Because that's like we talked about, you're the one attracting this. You're
mm,
attracting this. Something about you is allowing it in your life for so long. Because,
mm,
yeah, you might They might have been attracted to you, but you allowed it to go on for so long, because narcissists are always going, and energy vampires too, I call them,
Yeah. I've used
because
that
they
term
can be
before.
anybody. Yeah, it can be anyone. It can be your neighbors, it can be your family. It doesn't just have to be a significant other, because that's the other thing. Once you get out of a relationship with a narcissist, you're going to look around your life and realize, wow, I'm surrounded by boundary pushers. And that's why you end up in isolation, because
Mm.
you're like, no, we're changing. We're going to start having boundaries. We're going to have self-respect and just self-awareness
Mm.
and just, but that's too why we end up isolated, because so many people out there walking around unhealed with their trauma, putting it on other people, like the energy vampires too. It's like,
Interesting.
yeah, and that's why we're isolated too, because there's too many unhealed people out there not willing to do the inner work. So it's hard to even have friends once you get to this level of self-awareness.
Yeah, especially if your friends come from the type of network that you're currently coexisting in. Before I move on to the next question that I have, what does that actually look like? You've talked about covert. You've talked about, what was the other term you said you used?
Overt, grandiose.
Covert, overt, grandiose. What are some characteristics of narcissism that can labels that are standard stereotypes that people can really tie into?
Yeah, like labels, like the aggressive, like the overt is aggressive, and then the covert's passive aggressive. Is that what you mean?
Just
But they're
generally,
really
yeah.
full of shame. They're really at their
But give me
core
some care. I'm looking for some markers so that if people are looking for this or they don't
in
want to
their
look for it,
relationship.
just in
Yeah.
general, qualify what that actually looks like, someone who's narcissistic to you.
They will just push your boundaries. They won't accept no if you say no. They're always going to want what's best for them. They don't care about you at all. They want what's best for them. Like there's so much. It's just so much. That's just a hard question.
If you're making your living off of it, you better be able to answer it.
I know, it's just like list and list. It could go on and
Give me
on.
like a high level. If you had to encapsulate it into the most important qualities of what this
Yeah.
individual is.
Well, they
See if
have
you.
no empathy. They completely lack empathy is one of the main things, and they're really just full of shame and insecurity, and they go looking for other people that are secure, and like they see a light in other people that they want, but they'll never have it because they're really, honestly, I just think they're evil. I think it comes to the battle of good and evil as well. I think narcissists are just evil entities, and it comes back to the good and evil. They're just evil. Like they want to wreck and destroy lives, the lives of everyone around them. They want to destroy everyone
Interesting.
in their path.
What's
Yeah.
been the hardest part of this healing that maybe you haven't talked about yet or people don't talk about when they go through this process? What's been the most difficult part of healing for you?
Um, gosh, I did just go through the dark night of the soul. Have you heard of that?
I have.
I just went through that. And have you heard of the Kundalini awakening?
I have.
I went through that too. So that was crazy.
I need to
So
introduce you
that
to
was really,
I need to introduce you to somebody who in fact I literally just got off the phone with her earlier than this. Her name is Donna Bond and she works with women in the capacity of healing around trauma and things of this nature and she runs these really cool women-centered retreats
yeah.
in Costa Rica. I'm going to put the two of you
Oh,
I'm going to put the two of
yeah.
you in touch. I think it's worth having a conversation with her.
That would be awesome. I would
Anyhow,
love that. Yeah.
hardest your Kundalini Dark Night of the Soul. Tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
that. This has been some of the hardest part of your healing.
Yeah, the dark night of the soul. It's like you're stepping out of your old life. You know that life is not for you anymore, just like where you came from, how you grew up, all the people, all the influences, just people wanting to be negative and break you down and hold you back. And this is part of the narcissist, really was just the catalyst for the spiritual awakening. So it's like you start looking around your life and you just start realizing all the negative that's there holding you back. And it's no, you have to keep a positive mind and have an open mind and a growth mind, like a growth mindset. So,
There's a theory out there, and it's pretty widely accepted in the sort of more spiritual, esoteric world that
mhm.
we are invited to this plane, this planet, so that we can experience the things that will make us whole. And in the experience of making us whole, that's how we evolve and enlighten and awaken and all the terms that you've used so far.
Yeah.
Do you think that part of your growth, the reason you're here, is A, to serve and help other women or other people in this capacity, but you wouldn't be able to help other people in this capacity had you not first experienced all of this. So if you could change, if you could redo the whole thing, knowing what you know now, would you still experience all this? That way you could have this awakening so that you could do this people-centric serving other people to help them?
Definitely. I was just thinking that last night. I was like, I had to go through
Yeah.
2 narcissists in a
Yeah.
row to get the knowledge, to get to the point where I'm like, if I can do it, I didn't know if I could cuss or not, but I
You can.
was about
I've been
to
cursing all
cuss.
day. It's a mind
Oh,
fuck if you really stop and think about it,
yeah.
isn't it? Like,
I'm like, if I can fucking do it, anyone can fucking do it. And
yeah,
I want to let people know, especially where I came from. If you're a girl that was born into shitty trailer park conditions, it's like you can't help what you were born into, but you don't have to stay there and you can get out. And if I can get out, you can get out.
back to my theory, you can't help, but you actually agreed that was going to be your environment. You made an
I think
agreement. You made an
I
agreement.
agree.
Yeah, you made an
Yeah.
agreement in a spiritual sense. Okay, for
Mm-hmm.
anybody who's like, whoa, Diva's going,
We
yeah,
choose.
people be like,
Yes.
Diva's going woo woo. Look,
No, I love it.
I
I
live in the
love
woo
it.
woo world. Okay, I
Me
believe
too.
that. I don't believe that it's woo woo. I think that's just some stupid term that people who are naive and ignorant don't understand.
Always.
So
Just
they
like
just,
conspiracy
yeah,
theory.
100%. All right, don't get me
I
started
know.
there. Keep me on
I
target.
know. I
So,
know.
so let me finish. So you agreed to come to become trailer trash using your lexicon. You
Yeah.
agreed to come to Indiana. You agreed to these abusive relationships. You agreed to all this because the only way that you could now do what you're doing is to have experienced that bullshit so that you
Yeah.
could expand and know the difference and now be able to share that with somebody else. And you agree with that, it sounds like.
Exactly. Yes, because basically anything that you could think of a hardship for someone to experience, I've experienced it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of the things.
Yeah.
Anything basically terrible. Did you ever read that book, A Child Called It?
I don't believe I have. No.
It's a good book. I read it when I was young, but I'm like, oh,
I'm going to
it's
write it.
just his story, A
I'm going to write
Child
it
Called
down.
It. Yeah. It's his story of basically abuse and growing up in abuse with a mentally ill mother. And I'm like, God, his story is my story. And so I'm
Interesting.
like, I know, honestly, I'm working on a book right now. I don't know how long that's going to take me, but I'm like, I just feel like it's time to tell my real whole story and get it out there. So and I have nothing to be ashamed of because I had the pure heart.
Oh, I've seen your Instagram. You got no shame, girl, and you're in your bedroom doing the podcast, so we get it. Is this a
Yeah.
set? Is this a second book? Because I know you have a book called
Oh,
No
the little
Contact, No
ebook.
Fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you
That's
have
my ebook.
okay, so you have an ebook called No Contact, No Fear, and
Yeah.
it's about breaking the chains of this abuse, this narcissistic abuse. What's the biggest lie that people tell themselves that keep them from going into this no contact, which is the ethos behind the book?
I think that they think the narcissist cares about them. And
Mm,
that's one of the big things that I'll just say out loud and no, I'm like, no, the narcissist did not love you. Like that narcissist didn't love you. You have to get that out of your brain. You have to realize the reality of the situation, that they were evil, evil to the core. They never cared about you. They never loved you. Someone that loved you would not treat you this way. And usually it's because you come from trauma and traumatic backgrounds and you just think that's the norm. You think that's normal. You've seen that from your parents or something. Like that's not normal. That's
well,
not how healthy love goes,
let me
you know?
interject. Let me interject something there, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
It appears that way to you now, having known the knowledge. But these people are coming at this experience with the best tools they have at their availability. So hear me
Yeah.
out. So hear
Yeah.
me out. Hear me out. I'm not saying it's justifiable. I'm simply saying that people, and I've learned this recently about myself and how I show up in the world. And so I'm speaking from experience because over the last few years, I've done a lot of work on myself in this regard. Okay. And one of the clear, compelling observations and clarity that I found around this is that everybody comes at their experience with the tools that they are armed with. And with these people, including my father, who was the biggest shithole on the planet,
Yeah.
if these people could have somebody that could work with them or be inspired, like by yourself, for example. If somebody could get a hold of these people and reshape, re-educate, re-inspire, whatever it is, and make them be self-aware of how they're showing up in the world, then they would be armed with new information and perhaps they could also change. And I'm not justifying it. For anyone's listening saying, oh, Diva's recusing these, I'm not fucking recusing them. I'm simply saying that people, some of these people, and these are criminals, etc. Like there are evil
Yeah.
people on the planet. I fully agree there are evil people, but I inherently believe that at the core, most people are good. They're just not armed with enough tools, resources, and information to know any different. And because of what you just said, they're only coming at their experience based upon what they know and what they've been taught.
Yeah. Who, the narcissists?
Anybody in general. It's just anybody. This is
Oh, because I think
what
they're just evil.
well, I'm not disagreeing with you per se. I think their
Yeah.
I think their behavior is evil and what they're
Hmm.
doing is evil, but I don't think that they actually know the difference is what I'm suggesting. There might because
Yeah.
if you could sit, let's just pretend for a second, okay? Humor me. Just humor
Hmm.
me. You're going to agree or
Hmm.
disagree. What
Sure.
was the name of your last partner that your last husband or whoever that was abusive to you and narcissistic? What was his name?
I don't think I can say his
I will
name.
call him Frank. I know you wouldn't
Yeah,
date a
call
Frank,
him
but
Frank.
we'll call him Frank.
I'd love to say his name. I
Hold on.
really would.
Hold on, because we were running out of time. If I could sit you down in a room with Frank right now
Hmm.
and have a moderated conversation, and if you could have a conversation with him, knowing what now on the other side of this, do you feel like you would be able to change or affect him in any way, shape, or form?
Okay, so the covert, we're going to say Frank was the covert. And no, he's the devil to me. And no, I can't even.
Okay, fair enough. I respect.
He's evil to the core. But no, let me tell you, with my over ex-husband, with him, I do feel more compassion towards him. He did a lot of bad things too. When I was leaving him, he was hacking my Instagram, hacking my cameras, and stalking me, stealing my credit cards, racking charges up. He was doing a lot of bad things to me. And even after all of that, I still forgive him more than the covert, because the covert was like, I don't know, at least with the overt, you know what you're getting. And I say that a lot. It's, you know what you're getting with an overt. They're loud, they're aggressive. You just know who they are right up front. They don't pretend. The covert pretends. They sit there and make you fall in love with them. So the covert hurt me more on an emotional, deep emotional level.
Mm.
I didn't have my heart broken the same with the overt grandiose.
All
He
right,
didn't
fair
hurt
enough.
me
Fair enough.
emotionally as bad.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Let's switch
Yeah.
gears. We don't just carry trauma in our relationships. We carry it
Right.
on a variety of levels. We carry it into our work. We carry it into our leadership. We carry it into our business and how we show up in the world. How do you
Hmm.
feel
Hmm.
right now, knowing who you are today, that your past influence, how does your past influence how you're leading and building your business today? What is like some of those markers around that?
Hmm. How my past is?
Yeah. How is your past now showing up in how you lead today for the positive?
Yeah. Like some of the negatives I've turned into positive.
How has the past impacted
Yeah.
you to the point where you're now using those as lessons in your books and your social media
So many
so that you
lessons.
can share that with other people? How do you, because we just talked about it, you needed to have that journey in order to get where you are
Yeah.
today. So how
Yeah.
has some of those past experiences affected what you're doing today?
Gosh, so many things. I feel
Well,
like there's a
start
lot of
rattling them off
directions
then.
this could go. I need an example.
Okay. I'll give you an example using myself. So
Yeah, thanks.
I noticed several years ago, and even in the last few months in my relationships, that some of my behaviors were based upon judgments that I make, pre-established judgments that I have about other people and how they show up. And it was affecting the quality of my relationships. And this is in business, this is in personal. And I guess I've been carrying this sort of stigma, if you will, for a large part of my life. But it wasn't until I've been doing a lot of work, as I mentioned before, and it wasn't until I had people who genuinely care for me call this behavior patterns out in the way I was showing up. And I finally had to step in and do some work around that, and therapy and journaling and self-awareness and all these things. And in the process of getting this awareness, I realized that A, it was true, and B, it wasn't in my best interest to show up this way. And because of this awareness that I have now, I'm very cognizant in every situation where that was tripping me up before to avoid those situations so that it doesn't continue to trip me up. So I've
Yeah.
taken it, I've reprogrammed myself, if you will, because of my
Hmm.
awareness around it. And now I'm like, I'm delivering my message in a different capacity. So I'm asking you, how have you taken some of these horrible experiences,
Hmm.
aside from just like running a new business? What
Right.
does it mean to you now that that you have this new perspective on things?
Mm. Boy, that is a deep question. I'm still like, that's a hard one for me. That's a hard one for me. I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like just having boundaries, making sure I'm having boundaries and not being a people pleaser. And like, I'm a Pisces too. So we're very just lovers. We're just lovers. We're just like peace and love, really, at the core. And then you have to realize that everyone doesn't have your good heart. Like, just because you have a good heart, you want to look for that in everyone else. And you just have to have your guard up, really. It's like keeping your guard up
Mm,
against the energy vampires, and you just never know. You just don't know. That's one of the things I said too. Being with a narcissist, it definitely has changed me forever in the way I look at people and relationships now. Because I just used to be very naive and innocent and just thinking that everyone, even after all I had been through, somehow I still believed the good in people and believed in my little fairy tale romance would happen. And now
mm.
I'm
Still
really
can. It
that
still
you have to
can.
have a, yeah,
It still
right.
can. That
But
you just have a different litmus in how you approach it.
yeah, I'm loving being single. That's what I want to stress to people is enjoy the time to just be single. Enjoy it because once you do get a husband and have children, you can't go back from there.
Mm,
There's no getting your freedom back. So it's just enjoy it. Do the inner work. Have fun with your friends. Just work on yourself, your business, your whatever your goals and passions are. Like work on yourself. Don't be so worried about finding that relationship.
mm.
And that's something they program us as women since we're little is
Yeah,
find the man,
yeah.
get married. They program that into us from a young age. We're always thinking we need a relationship to fulfill us and complete us as women, especially, I feel. And it's no,
That,
you
that's a
don't
very,
actually. You
that's a
have to
very,
have self-love first.
yeah, that's a really important point. What you just said is a very leadership centric perspective. And I think when people think of leadership, they think of corporations and they think of executives and coaches and captains and all these things. But leadership really starts with, you just said, self love, self leadership, right? So,
Mhm.
how does healing make you a better leader? How has healing through this made you a better leader?
I think I don't feel like I have to lead anyone, but I guess just being self-aware and being able to communicate and just have still having compassion. Like I still to put yourself in someone else's shoes and just be compassionate. I guess I do like with the Airbnb, like I've got cleaner that I have a maintenance person and a cleaner I have to.
You're coaching women, you're writing books, you're leading in every capacity. Leadership isn't
Oh,
just leadership isn't just being a captain of a team or a
oh,
CEO of a corporation. You're leading every way by sharing your voice.
see,
You're leading by showing up on social media and sharing your voice with people who might need to hear that. That's leadership. That's the point of my question.
think that.
When people think of leadership, they just think of like somebody sitting up here on a pedagogue.
Yeah.
But leadership comes out in a variety of different sundries. So I'm asking you, in the work that you're doing now, which is leadership, it's a different type of
Okay.
leadership.
See, that didn't occur to me at all.
So how has the healing made you a better healer, a better leader?
Yeah. Just in all my experiences, I can relate to people. It resonates with people. Just my story, telling my story, and I can understand them and have compassion for what they're going through. But also, I give tough love too, I feel like, when
Mm,
it needs to be given,
mm,
because people just need to realize they never cared about you. Just realize the reality of the situation. The faster you realize it, There's no need to. You need to observe. You need to observe. Don't get caught up in your emotions so much, but
Mm,
observe your emotions and then go to the root of that.
mhm,
Don't
mhm,
let your emotions control you, obviously. You
mhm.
need to, yeah, you can have your feelings and why you're feeling them. You want to know why, but don't let that control you. You have to control you and your
Yeah.
mind. It's your thoughts. It's always your thoughts.
If you're, and we're running out of time, so I want to get to the
Mhm.
last few questions before I lose
Okay.
you. And thank you again for being on the show. It's really been a
Yeah.
privilege getting
Oh,
to know
I'm
you
so
a little
glad
bit.
you had me on here. We'll have to do
Um,
this again sometime.
yes, please.
Yeah.
We'll fast forward in a couple of months and see where you are with your leadership in your new book.
Yeah.
If younger Andrielle was sitting right next to you right now, younger Andrielle,
Yeah.
the one
Yeah.
who went through the trailer trash and the mobile homes and the abusive
Mm-hmm.
parent and the horrible relationships, what would she say to you right now?
Oh my God, I have to tell you this meme, and it said, "You've become the person that would have protected you as a child." And
Mm,
that is powerful to me.
mm,
That was everything. It's yes, why did they have it so fucked up back then? Like all the
mm,
parents, all the generations before, it's you were sent here to break the generational curses and heal the traumas. And it's like it had to be you, it had to be now, and it had to be like this day and age. This is what we were sent here for, and this is what our purpose really is. Break the trauma and let other people know that's not normal either. It's not normal. Yeah, you grew up in it, but it's not normal and you shouldn't have. And it's really not okay, but you can heal. It's not too late and you don't have to accept it and you don't have to live in it. But boy, younger Andrielle, gosh, I still just, my heart really hurts for her. I think back a lot and I'm
What would
just
she say
like,
to you?
probably just thank you. I look back to her and it's God, there's so many things I wish I could have saved her from. And it's just so terrible. So sad.
So thank
So
you.
sad.
So thank you is what she would say right now.
I think so. Yeah.
Hmm.
She'd probably be crying.
I would imagine she would have a lot of pride.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What's excuse me, what's next for you? What's the impact you want to make on the planet in the next few years?
I want to get this course launched. We're really close to that. I want to get my book out that just tells my story because it's, and look up The Child Called It. That's a good story. That's a good
I wrote it down. I
book.
wrote it down.
Yeah, that's a good book. It's really crazy. But it's, man, that's how my story felt too. So it's, I just want to get it out. And I feel like release it. They say once you can talk about it, like you know you're healing when you can talk about it and you're
Hmm.
not full of shame. When you can't talk about your past, it's like you still have that shame. You're still hiding it, keeping it bottled up inside, and that's just no good for anybody. No
Mm.
good for you. Yeah.
So with that advice, how can people start their own journey today? What is one small thing they can do right now to shift their mindset and start by starting?
Yeah. I always think people need to get a coach and a mentor. Like it's really an investment in themselves, and every person before them did the same thing. That's what I love about social media too, is that we're just helping each other. We're just going to the person a little bit ahead of us and getting mentorship and advice from someone that's we see that we like how they live. So it's, and then you can do that for the people just a little behind you. I feel like it's us helping each other rather than the whole thing of college, such a scam.
Yeah.
Gosh, they want you to pay all this money to go learn nothing about life. And then here we are. There's a group of us here in the internet, and that's basically where I live. And my tribe is in the internet now. I'm like, at least there's like-minded people I can find here in the web here.
Yeah.
We're connected. It's
Well,
connected us.
yeah, that's how we got connected. So I agree with that.
Yeah. Because back then they didn't have any other better way. They didn't have a way to really know. And the term narcissist, they say that's a fairly newer thing people are saying now, but in their they say it's overused and whatever. But I'm like, yeah, you need to know what it means when you're saying it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
sure, I'm sure it is overused. But I've I've done all the research and I know what it means. And I think the person that was with the narcissist is the best person to diagnose them because you were the one with them. And even Dr. Ramani, Dr.
I
Ramani,
do. Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah, so she says all the time, they're hard to diagnose because first of all, that goes against their very nature of being a narcissist is admitting they need help, like breaking their ego down. They live in their ego and they're really just full of shame though,
Mm,
and insecurities, and they want to take that out on the world. They just,
totally.
yeah.
This
I
has
have
been a
so
great.
much to say.
We've said a lot, and you've added a lot of value. So once
Oh,
again, to you, Andrielle, this is Andrielle Mylin. If you want to find her, best
thanks.
way is through YouTube. Live with L-E-L-L-E. Again, we'll put all this in the
Live
show
well
notes.
with a, yeah, just,
Live. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Live well with L,
Without, yeah.
and that's your handle across all your socials. So
Yeah,
if,
I
if you
tried
want
to
to,
make it simple.
yeah, if you want to connect with her and see some of her inspiring work, and I do suggest that you do. That's how I found her, and right away was blown away by your candor and your honesty and the brutal truth that you offer. That's what
Thanks.
resonated with me. So thank you. Any closing thoughts?
Just do the inner work, stay no contact. No contact from the narcissist is crucial. And they
Okay.
don't just want to be friends. They're always going to try to say they want to be friends, but you can't. No contact. That's what I really push for people. Just no anyone that's toxic in your life, honestly.
Can I tell you something?
Minimal or no. Yeah.
That term "no contact" it always brings up trauma for me from that stupid COVID years when they had those dumb policies about the no contact
Oh,
and
yeah.
the 6 feet and the dumb masks and we couldn't go outside. Sorry, I'm going on a
I
rabbit hole.
know.
I'll
And I'm
stop.
a nurse and I was working
Ugh,
through that and
I
I
hate
had
that
like
term.
they
No
were
offense. It
threatening
just
my nursing
yeah.
license and everything.
We're
I
gonna have to do
know
a separate
because I was
podcast on that.
I know. That'll be really good. Yeah,
All right
to
then,
get into that.
Andrielle,
Yeah.
thank you. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I
Yeah.
look forward to sharing it with you. And I hope that some of my audience gets the opportunity to listen and connect with you because it would be it'd be a shame not to. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Do it
My
again soon.
my pleasure.
Okay. Bye.
I'm just gathering my thoughts here for a second. Wow. If you're listening to this and you made it all the way through, which I hope you did, take a second to sit with what we just unpacked. It's a pretty cool story. And it wasn't just a conversation. It was a lot of, it was more of a revelation, right? I would say a really deep dive into resilience and breaking cycles and stepping into your true power. And Andrielle's story is proof that healing isn't just possible, it's necessary. And if until you make that step for that healing for you, you're going to be stuck in these vicious patterns. It's really a powerful story. So it's the foundation for everything. It's for how we show up in relationships and in business and in leadership and in life. And Andrielle has shown us that breaking free isn't just about leaving, it's about reclaiming our voice, reclaiming our life. It's about establishing boundaries and building something for our future. It's this legacy that we all ask ourselves, how are we going to show up? And to everyone listening, I really appreciate you being here. It was a different type of show than we normally do just because I was touched by her Instagram. Please follow her, Live Well with Elle. There's just a lot of cool content she puts out. Where do you need to break free? For anyone listening right now, where do you need to break free? What cycles are you still caught in? What stories are you telling yourself that no longer serve you? Because your past does not define you, the choices you do. And as I say to everyone, you always have a choice in how you respond in every situation. Whether you are the one that is exacting the pain or you are the recipient receiving the pain, you always have a choice, whether it's making a phone call, whether it's getting out, whether it's changing your patterns, whether it's getting help, whether it's finding a therapist, whether it's talking to family, whatever it is, you have a choice in how you respond. So make the right choice. If this episode resonated with you, don't let it stop here. I want you to follow Andrielle first of all. Live well with Elle, and then check out her other book. Check out her book, and she's got a new one coming out. No Contact, No Fear. It sounds like a pretty good read. She's going to send me a copy of that, and then share this episode with somebody who needs to hear it. If you know of somebody in your circle, in your ecosystem that would benefit from this show, either connect them with me or listen to the show, share it with them, or connect them with Andrielle. That's the best way that you can actually help and pay it forward. So, and if you're on your own journey of self-discovery and reinvention, let's connect. I can help you with some of these things. You can find me at thebrandstoryteller.com. Your brand, your business, your life, they're all connected. And if you're finding some shortcomings in one of those areas, there's a way to patch that together and fix it. So anyway, I appreciate you being here today on the Branding Laboratory. I know you have choices when it comes to podcasts. I'm Devo, and this is the Branding Laboratory. And as always, show up, stand tall, and rewrite your story because it's your story and it's worth sharing. I'll see you next time.